Good morning. I think you need to prove that you are still biologically awake and alive. Shall we give the best good morning that we have ever given to anyone in our lives? Because after all, it's going to be the civil service conference for the fourth time, a great event, isn't it? So, shall we show our greatness in giving the best good morning that we have ever given to anyone in our lives? Are we ready? Are we really ready? Are we really ready? Good morning. Wonderful. Give a big round of applause to everyone. Big round of applause. I see very senior people with very serious looks. No smile, no laugh. We are very senior people. Let's enjoy the session. Let's laugh, let's smile, let's interact, let's connect. Even though there's a lectern, I must confess, I hate giving lectures. Because my definition of a lecture is someone stands behind the lectern and keeps on speaking, and the rest all keep on sleeping. I hope that's not what you are here for, isn't it? So let's make it an interactive, insightful experience. Are you willing to do that? Can't hear. Are you willing to do that? Then you have to support me by responding to me to show that you are still biologically alive and awake. All right? So let me begin the journey by talking about what I am assigned to talk. I would call it leadership brilliance for civil service excellence. Leadership brilliance for civil service excellence. How many of you all had seen me in a conference in Maldives before? Just raise your hands. How many of you have seen this strange creature for the very first time? All right, then for the benefit of them, I think I need to very briefly tell me PIM, the leading business school in Sri Lanka, which I was the leader for 7 years. That's my second home. Price is my summer home. I used to go and teach international HRM in US. CMI, I'm the country president in Sri Lanka, Chartered Management Institute. CIPM, I'm a former president. So these are my involvements in print media, electronic media, social media, local, global, and regional arena. And these are the 10 books that I've written. I gave a copy of the 10th book to your vice president a little while ago. And I might have a copy for the most interactive participant of the session. So we'll see. And these are the glimpses of my consultants. It's in over 25 countries. You can see from the costumes. And these are my glimpses of summer teaching. When the summer is really cold, I get into very formal attire. When the summer gets really hot, I get into a pair of shorts, which is very common in US. Professors come in pair of shorts during summer. So what we are going to do together, I would call it the road ahead, is to explore the fascination of leadership, why we need to think and act like leaders, and then expand our horizons, our knowledge, our skills, our attitude towards this wonderful concept of leadership. And once you do this, first two, third thing will happen automatically. Excel. It's all about excelling, exceeding expectations, raise the bar higher and higher and higher. All right? By the way, I use a kindergarten technique for my postgraduate teaching, which has worked very well. So what is the kindergarten technique? Inviting people to say certain things out loud. Are you ready to do that with me? So what are the triple E's? Say out loud. Out loud. Explore. Expand. Can't hear. Come on, show that you had some tea or coffee, isn't it? Either I am deaf or you are dumb. I hope both are not correct, isn't it? So what are the three E's? Explore, expand, and excel. So that's what we are going to do in exploring, expanding, and excelling as wonderful civil servants in Maldives. Is that fine? Good. It's a 300-page government questionnaire about cutting back on bureaucracy. This is how people look at some civil servants in some countries. Bureaucracy, full of red tapes, inefficiency built in, unproductive force. But I hope it's not what should be, isn't it? It's not hopefully what is in Maldives. There's a very interesting observation in UK. They say Britain has invented a new missile. It does not work and it can't be fired. So what is the new missile that Britain has invented? It's called the civil servant. The civil servant. Invented a new missile, it doesn't work and can't be fired. So I hope that is not applicable to Maldives, isn't it? Of course, to be fair by Britain, they have come up with now wonderful ways of upskilling the civil servants. And they came up with this very interesting statement recently. A brilliant civil service should have improved outcomes, effective leaders, skilled people, and a great place to work. 4 things. So what are the 4 things? Improved outcomes. Is that relevant to Maldives? Yes, of course. Effective leaders, is that relevant to Maldives? Skilled people, is that relevant to all of you? Yes. Are you skilled? Of course. A great place to work, is that important? A place where you find fun and enjoyment. And when you start a new day on a Sunday, you have to say, thank God it's Sunday, not thank God it's Thursday, isn't it? So it's where you find happiness, find meaning, find fulfillment. That's what we need with regard to civil service. How can we make it happen? I have a simple acronym. I have this craziness of developing acronyms. So I attempted to do that last night. So civil service. So what's my acronym? Civil, C-I-V-I-L. I thought of deliberating. C stands for commitment in action. Are you committed? Commitment is absolutely necessary. Without commitment, you can't be an effective public servant. And then I, integrity in decisions, which is very, very challenging thing, isn't it? When the world is full of bribery and corruption, we need to have ABCD, which I promote in Sri Lanka. What is ABCD? Anti-bribery and corruption drive. So you got to have highest level of integrity. Third one, value creation in mind, creating value to your customers, creating value to the public, creating value to the needy that are coming to seek your service, isn't it? You are into service. Service is all about creating value. And the fourth one, innovation. That's where the digitalization, internet-based services, online services, portals, the AI-enabled civil service. I'm sure my good friend will talk about them in the afternoon. So they all will come into the scene. Future belongs to those who innovate it. So we got to innovate a new civil service, a brand new civil service. And finally, leading by example. You got to be real role models for others. You got to be leaders by example. So what are the 5 things in civil? Acronym. C stands for committed in action. I stands for integrity in decisions. Then the V stands for value creation in mind. And again, the next I stands for. And finally, L stands for leading by example. Are you willing to show all these 5 in action? Can't hear. Are you willing to show that? Are you really sure? Are you really committed? Are you confused? And don't say everything to a yes, but I say, give a big round of applause to everyone. Wonderful. Okay, the challenge is we have to do all those things during a turbulent time. It's all about going through a turbulence as a whole world. We are going through a turbulent time. Politically, economically, geographically, climate-wise, we are going through a turbulent time. So what are the signs of a turbulent time? We need to understand as future-focused civil servants, future-focused civil servant leaders. So what are the signs of turbulent times? It's all about disorder. Things are not happening in an orderly manner. So it's all about confusion. People are not clear. And it's all about uncertainty. Things are not very certain. And things are not very regular, irregularity. So there's disorder, confusion, irregularity, and uncertainty. And Peter Drucker, not Dracula, Peter Drucker, one of the veteran management thinkers, call it temptation to deny reality. There's a temptation to deny reality and to have a sugar-coated thing around the truth in distorting the truth. So we have to be very clear. We have to be conscious about it. And that's where I like what Alexander Isonovich Solzhenitsyn, a Russian philosopher, a Russian dissident, he was talking a bit critical about at that time the regime. He says something very interesting. Shall you all see what he says? We know they are lying. They know they are lying. They know, we know they are lying. We know, they know, we know they are lying. But they are still lying. I will not refer to who they and who we are. I'll leave it to intelligent you to guess whom I mean by they, whom I mean by we. After all, I'm coming from Sri Lanka. And we had a very interesting case study 2 years ago. Long petrol queues, long gas queues, long outages of electricity. And the case study ended up as a chase study. Case study became a chase study. So then that's what I'm referring to. So I will not get into those negativities. Let's be positive. Let's be hopeful for a better future. But one daunting statistics. Repeatedly, research has found, what is that? Why leadership is important. 80% of projects fail due to leadership. 80% of the project, be it public sector, be it private sector, be it international non-government sector, project fail due to leadership. 80%, not a small amount, isn't it? So that shows the significance of leadership. Why we need leadership in action. So what is leadership to begin with? Leadership. They say only ship that survives a storm is leadership. So let's talk about a ship. So what is it made of? So what sort of ship you see here? It's a wooden ship. So what is the main raw material? Timber. From where do you get timber? Trees. From where do you get trees? Forest. So that's a very interesting statement. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to go to the forest to gather woods, saw it and nail the planks together. And then you would ask, how on earth then can we build a ship? Instead, teach them the desire for the sea. So said Antoine Exupéry, a French writer and a World War II pilot. If you carefully look at this statement, there are two approaches towards people. Can you guess what those are? I'll give you a clue. Up to this point, approach 1. Beyond this point, approach 2. So what is approach 1 and what is approach 2? In approach 1, you tell people, do this, do that, then do that. They will do that and only that, nothing but that. Dictatorship and democratic. All right, interesting. Thank you. So first one is telling style, yelling style. Second one is what? Create the desire. Then they'll say, wow, let's go to the sea. Then we need a channel, we need a vehicle, we need a ship. Let's build our own ship. Let's go to the forest to gather wood and we'll make our own ship. And they will go extra mile, isn't it? So which is more relevant to leadership? Approach 1 or approach 2? Approach 1, isn't it? Approach 1? No, thank you for listening. Approach 2. But what is easier, what is more difficult? Approach 1 is easier. Yelling and telling is easier, but inspiring, influencing and initiating is difficult, isn't it? So I would recommend for civil servants, senior civil servants here in this audience, embrace approach 2. It all talks about 3 things. So what are the 3 things? Inspiring, influencing and initiating. You inspire from the words that you utter. You influence on the deed that you do. You initiate the seeds that you sow with them. Inspiring words, influencing deeds, initiating seeds. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to be that inspirer, be that influencer, be that initiator? That is what is needed by civil service in Maldives, I presume. Are you ready? Are you willing to do that? Are you really confident? Thank you. All great leaders, be it religious leaders, be it political leaders, be it leaders from any other arena like business, sports, anywhere, they were all inspirers, influencers, and initiators. Agree with me? Think of any great leader, they all did these 3. But now the challenge is, in turbulent times, it becomes far more challenging. Why? It's not easy to inspire, it's not easy to influence, it's not easy to initiate, because we are shifting from a VUCA to a BANI world. VUCA to a Banny world. So let me very briefly share the thoughts around these two very popular concepts. Starting with VUCA, which began in which began uh, in 1985 when Warren Bennis and Bert Nanus coined the term in American Defense College after the Cold War, VUCA. So I would call it VUCA reality and VUCA response. So what is VUCA reality? I think this term is very popular. Shall you all say out loud, what is VUCA 1.0? Out loud? Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. That's the world that we have to live. If that is the reality, what should be our response? I have coined the term VUCA 2.0. So what is VUCA 2.0? Shall you all say out loud? Vision, understanding, confidence, agility. Have a clear vision for the future and understand what's going around you, surrounding you. And then have the confidence to stand firmly on the ground. And then agile, dynamic, vibrant, adding value. So that's what we need. So let me ask you to think, am I ready with the right response to the reality VUCA 1.0 with VUCA 2.0 response? If the answer is no, you have to get ready, otherwise you become irrelevant and obsolete. Isn't it? You got to have that VUCA 2.0 response. Are we ready? Think about it. Is it a very deflated response? Are we ready? Yes. Come on, can we have VUCA 2.0 response? Yes. Are you really willing to do that? Yes. Don't look at me with such a surprised face. Right? So I'm sure we need to as a survival mechanism, isn't it? But the real challenge is it's even more complicated now because we have shifted from VUCA to BANI. So what is BANI? I like what Jamais Casio, a California-based anthropologist, came with this very powerful statement. He says, concept VUCA is increasingly obsolete. With a new paradigm, we need a new language. With a new mindset, with a new approach, we need a new language. So BANI talks about the world beyond VUCA, VUCA plus plus. So what is VUCA plus plus? BANI means what? 4 illusions. So what is an illusion? Of course, it's not a solution. It's vagueness in front of you, the veil of unclearness in front of you. So he talks about 4 illusions. So what are those? Shall you all say out loud? Brittle, anxious, nonlinear, and incomprehensible. So why we call them illusions? There are 4 illusions associated. Brittle, illusion of strength. The so-called nations who thought they are strong are not so strong. Take the case of Russia invading Ukraine. They thought it is a cakewalk to acquire Ukraine. But even after more than 1 year, or even 2 years, still the war is going on. So illusion of strength. If you think you are strong, it's an illusion. Second one, anxious, very nervous. Illusion of control. You are not in charge. You are not in control. The weather is a classic example. When Dubai experienced 1.5 years worth of rain in 1.5 days. When people have to run, leaving their Benzes, BMWs, Lexuses away. So the smart city became not so smart within 1.5 days. Illusion of control. We are not in control. Non-linear. It's not cause and effect. Now the researchers will talk about causality, cause and effect. It's not the case. It's more cyclic. It's more cyclic. We talk about circular economy now. Non-linear. Illusion of predictability. There was an earthquake in Turkey 2 years ago, killing more than 100,000 people. And not a single geologist anywhere in the world could predict it accurately. With all the scientific advancements. And see what happened to MH370 flight, KL flight. Still, it's a mystery, isn't it? So, illusion of predictability. And finally, incomprehensible, illusion of knowledge. We think we are knowledgeable, but that's a myth. There are so many things we do not know. Pandemic was a case in point where there were vaccines developed. The vaccines could not support new variants. I met a medical expert from UK. He said they have removed some of the community medicine parts from their medical curricula, saying no more pandemics. We don't have to worry. The community medicine is so advanced. It is a myth. COVID proved that it is a myth. So illusion of knowledge. So 4 illusions in front of us. If that is the case, what should we do? I would call it ignition, igniting ourselves to face the illusions. So then what should we do against the 4 illusions? We got to have, against the 4 illusions, we need to have 4 ignitions. That's my way of looking at it. So what are the 4 ignitions? Shall you all say out loud? Bold, assertive, neutral, and innovative. They say fortune favors the bold. You got to have that boldness in facing the uncertainty and being assertive, being sure, being clear about what you say, about what you do, assertiveness. And being neutral without being biased, without being prejudiced. You got to be neutral, open mind for the possibilities. And innovative. Innovation is absolutely necessary. No innovation, no survival. No innovation, no future. No innovation, there's no success. So what are the 4 things as ignition that we need to demonstrate? Say out loud. Bold, assertive, neutral, and innovative. Ask from you, am I bold enough? Am I assertive enough? Am I neutral enough? Am I innovative enough? If the answer is no, you got to rethink, revitalize, re-energize yourself in becoming a modern civil servant, future-proof civil servant. Are you ready to do that? Give a big round of applause to everyone. Big round of applause. This is all in the context of sustainability. We are living in a world where there's climate emergencies. In Sri Lanka, we had torrential rains last week. Still, we have massive floods, which happened in many parts of the South Asia. But surprisingly, 1 month ago, we had 40 plus centigrade degrees temperature. In India, the North India having high temperatures, high degrees. The southern India, they experience rain. See the challenges. So I would say we got to ensure that we have economy, ecology, and equity. So what are the 3 dimensions of sustainability? Say out loud. Economy, ecology, and equity. We need to ensure we have sound economy. We need to have a growing economy. We need to have sustained economic success. At the same time, ecological balance. I think you, being an island nation, need it like us in Sri Lanka. Some have predicted by 2050, 50% of the Maldivian atolls will go down underwater. But I hope now with the ocean treaty and so on, it's not that bad. It will not be that severe. But still, you got to be ecologically cautious, ecologically conscious. And of course, finally, equity. You got to be equitable in distributing the wealth. It's not equal, but equitable. That's what they say. Ensure the people factor is built into your formula. People factor should not be neglected. So what are the 3 things once again? Economy, ecology, and equity. In doing so, we got to ensure what I call the quadruple bottom line. So first you have profit, then you have people, then you have planet, and the latest, earlier it was triple bottom line. Now we talk about quadruple bottom line. The 4th dimension is very deep, very broad. We call it the purpose, overarching purpose. You got to be purpose-driven. We need purpose-driven individuals. We need purpose-driven institutions. We need purpose-driven nations in action. So this is what we need. So remember, it's no more triple bottom line. It's quadruple bottom line. In civil service, I'm sure you are not profit generated, but you need to be fund utilizing people, isn't it? Giving the given funds, you need to utilize. Some people, they are not fund managers. They become fund managers in misusing the funds. So civil servants should not be fund managers. They should be fund managers, isn't it? Utilizing the given funds, I hope. So in doing so, you got to have 5 E's of leadership excellence. 5 E's. Let me sum up with this. What are the 5 E's? Very simple, very straightforward, but I believe we need to be brilliant on basics. So what are those 5 E's? Say out loud with me. Efficiency, effectiveness, efficacy, ethicality, and empathy. These are vital. They are part and parcel of any manager, any administrator, any leader. So how do I simply define them? Very simple. Efficiency is resource related. How do you take care of your resources? Fuel efficiency, for example. Effectiveness is results related. How do you ensure that your targets are achieved? Your key performance indicators are achieved. KPIs. Is the term familiar to you? KPIs? Sometimes the KPIs become key political indicators. That's a bad side of it, isn't it? That's a sad side of it, okay? And efficacy, your response, it's a psychological term, your belief about your ability. How much confident are you? It closely resembles self-confidence. Efficacy and ethicality. Are you doing the right thing? Are you ensuring that you separate the good from the bad, the right from the wrong? Or are you playing a double game? I know one person had integrity as a value, and he was handling a sensitive customer service. And a person came with unlawful request. He could not do that legally. The person was pleading, and he opened a bag full of dollars, bundles of dollars, and he looked at it and said, as a matter of policy, I don't touch money, but if you really want, I can give my bank account. That's not you show your ethicality, isn't it? Ethicality means in action-centeredness. Finally, empathy. I can talk for empathy for hours and hours. It's all about relationships. Looking from others' point of view and walking in others' shoes and seeing the reality through others' views. And then you get a better, clearer, broader, brighter understanding of what's going on. So what are the 5 E's? How are they related to 5 R's? What are the 5 R's? Resources, results, response, respect, and relationship. You got to get respect by being ethical. Then people value you. People recognize you as an ethical leader, not who has compromised principles in search of perks. Some people, they cross over in parliament and they say, I did a supreme sacrifice for the benefit of the people. But they don't talk about the money they got. Supreme sacrifice. So their respect is shattered, isn't it? And then finally, triple spears of excellent leaders. As an excellent leader, you got to operate as 3 different dimensions. What are those? Servant, synergist, and strategy. The word civil service talks about servant leadership. You got to serve. You got to ensure that there are deserving people who need your service. You got to be a servant. And you got to be a synergist, building bridges, not building borders. Bridges, connecting different nationalities, connecting different ethnicities, connecting different groups together. Synergist, synergizing, team building, and strategies, looking at future, predicting the future, forecasting the future, and ensuring that you are future-focused strategist. This simple concept that I developed goes very closely with an old model by Aristotle. He talks about ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is your correct, service-oriented character. Pathos means how much you passionately connect with others. And logos means how you logically look at the future. So what are the 3 S's? Out loud. Servant, synergist, and strategist. And Aristotelian language, ethos, pathos, and logos. So ask the fundamental question from you. I think more than what I tell, what your inner voice tells you will become more important. Am I a good servant? Am I a good synergist? Am I a good strategist? If you want inspiration, I would recommend 3 movies. First movie, Saint Mother Teresa of Kolkata, a great servant leader, isn't it? Saint Mother Teresa. And if you want to have a great example of synergist, the next one, Invictus, how Nelson Mandela created a rainbow nation where black, white, and brown people started living in harmony, isn't it? And how we inspired the white-dominated rugby team to be accepted by the majority black people. It's an interesting movie. How to show the Nelson Mandela, how he bridged the gaps. And of course, lead as a strategist. I use this one in my strategy sessions, Gandhi. How he had a clear strategy in getting independence from Britain. To gain that independence, he had a clear strategy, Ahimsa movement in action. So lead as a servant, lead as a synergist, lead as a strategist. To wind up, we need to have 3 leaps for a leader. We need to have that leap in moving to the next level with Industry 5.0. So what are the 3 leaps? I would call it lead as a learner, lead as a listener, lead as a leveler. 3 things. So what are the 3 leaps? Say out loud. Lead as a learner, lead as a listener, lead as a leveler. So lead as a learner. They say leading and learning are inseparable to one another. The I mean, the moment you stop learning, you stop leading. You can't do both. I mean, you can't do without both. They are interconnected. And you need to have formal education. Earlier it was BBA. Now we talk about MBA. Now the latest is DBA, Doctor of Business Administration. Never stop education. And you can learn. You don't have to go to a classroom. 3 ways of learning. The latest Atwood. Anytime, anywhere, any device. The most sophisticated encyclopedia in the whole world is in your pocket. That's your smartphone. You can use your smartphone as a great learning app, isn't it? So that's what we need. So lead as a listener. We are given 2 ears and 1 mouth. To do what? To listen more and to talk less. Is that what we are doing? We talk and talk and talk, and we impatiently wait till other finishes to resume our talk. That's not the way. So we got to be listeners. If leaders do not listen, what happens? Leaders who do not listen eventually be surrounded by people who have nothing to say. Naysayer. They will say, yes, sir, 3 bags full, sir. That should not be the way. And finally, the latest, hottest, lead as a leveler. There are ups and downs. You got to level playing field. If you look at this ground, imagine if there's only one type of flower, one type of tree. Will that be beautiful? The beauty comes from 3 words: diversity, inclusion, and harmony. We got to have gender diversity, ethnic diversity. We got to have variety of diversities and inclusion. They say diversity is inviting people to a party, and inclusion is you dance with them. And then harmony, harmonizing. And let me conclude by saying it's a conscious shift. You got to shift from ego to eco. I know in public sector, some people are like kings and queens. They have their kingdom. And others have to worship them. And that is the ego. Sometimes you have a cubicle which is more than enough for you, but not enough for your ego. So you need a bigger chair, bigger table, because the ego can't go into the cubicle. So you got to shift from ego to eco. Eco-friendliness, environmental friendliness. The other day I was addressing Sri Lanka National HR Conference. I said, I am a human being representing 8 billion people on 197 countries around the planet. That's being eco-friendliness, isn't it? We are all human beings at the end of the day. So let me invite you to develop 3 things. What are the 3 things? Read out loud. Mindset, skill set, and tool set. The problem is we start with the tool set. Technology, technology, technology. Technology is a versatile servant, but a volatile master. So begin with mindset. Mindset, right skill set. Then use wonderful technology available. Don't start with tool set, start with the mindset. That's where we go wrong, isn't it? So in winding up, you need to do 3 things. Shall you all say the 3 things? Reflect, refresh, and relate. Reflect all what I had been sharing with you and refresh yourself as fresh civil servants of Maldives and relate it to what you do and go and do a better service. It's a continual global journey. Let me wish you good luck, bon voyage, happy journey, and you can connect with me, and you have the opportunity to be the lucky 14,000th connection of my LinkedIn. Lucky 14,000th connection, please do so, and I'll be more than happy to get connected with you in sharing whatever we had been discussing. Of course, I'm in Facebook. It's full of junk and rubbish, but LinkedIn is a solid knowledge sharing platform. So please do so, and I'm humbly happy. So let me thank my friend Afif from MA Maldives HR Professionals Association for inviting me, and thank you for all your wonderful hospitality so far. I think my 10th visit to Maldives this time. Every time I come, I see a more improved, much enhanced, much developed Maldives. So good luck and all the very best. I think we all deserve a good round of applause to each and everyone here. Big round of applause.